Training for Trainers and Professionals, the ICON message. Welcome to this Training for Trainers and Professionals about the ICON Babies Cry You Can Cope programme. This training will equip you with the knowledge, information and skills that you'll need to discuss the ICON message with parents and carers. It will help you share the message that crying in babies is normal, support parents and carers to soothe their baby, help them cope with their baby's crying, and understand more about the dangers of shaking a baby and abusive head trauma. Abusive head trauma is also sometimes referred to as shaken baby syndrome. It is a form of child abuse that causes catastrophic injuries, such as brain injuries like subdural hemorrhages, eye injuries like retinal hemorrhages, and also bony injuries. The ICON website provides a link to a BBC Inside Out programme that provides a really good explanation of what happens when a baby is shaken. Our goal is to help parents expect crying, prepare for it and cope with it, and to reduce the incidence of abusive head trauma triggered by crying. These are some facts and figures about abusive head trauma. The key point is that these are an underestimation of the true numbers involved. We want to make a difference to this form of abuse as it is 100% preventable. It is important to note that 70% of babies who are shaken by men. It's important to keep this in mind when delivering the programme and working out how to ensure men get the ICON message. A crying baby can make parents and carers feel like they are approaching or living on a cliff edge, testing their ability to cope to the limit. Some lose control and shake their baby, causing some or all of the catastrophic injuries described previously. This frustration happens to parents and carers in all socio-economic groups. Research has shown a demonstrable relationship between what is described as the normal peak of crying and babies subject to abusive head trauma. The normal peak of crying sees crying start to increase in the first month of life, around about 2 weeks of age. It reaches a peak about 6 to 8 weeks and decreases during the 3rd to 5th months of life. Research also shows that babies are more likely to be shaken when they are between 2 and 4 months old, the time when babies cry the most. This is the normal crying curve described by Ronald Barr in 1990 and shows the peak of crying at 2 months, when some babies can cry for up to 6 hours in a 24-hour period. That peak might be shifted a little bit to the right, but it's round about 2, 3, 4 months. ICON focuses on helping parents cope with the crying baby, not just by trying to change the baby's behaviour and stopping the crying, which isn't always successful and increases frustration and distress, but by helping parents and carers deal with their feelings to support them through the problem and cope with it rather than solve it. That feeling of living on a cliff edge that I talked about earlier can have a huge impact on parents and carers and families, including stress, depression, feelings of guilt, inadequacy and helplessness. The video I Am Unshakable is a 3-minute animation on our website that can be downloaded by following the link. And this powerfully portrays how real these feelings are when a baby won't stop crying. It's a good video to show parents and carers when the opportunity arises. It also has subtitles, so can be played with no sounds in waiting areas, for example. There are some babies who are more at risk of abuse and abusive head trauma than others. Baby boys, babies under 6 months, preterm low birth weight babies and babies in families that have previously been involved with children's social care feature in research studies as being more at risk. ICON was established after years of research into what makes a good, effective prevention programme. It is founded on a solid evidence base, and evaluation of the programme itself is in the very early stages. However, the question, does prevention work, is often asked, and the next two slides give details of just 4 studies out of many more that demonstrate positive outcomes ranging from 2005 to 2020. The studies show a reduction in the incidence of abusive head trauma, a reduction in attendance at an emergency department, and a reduction in the likelihood of an abusive head trauma diagnosis. It is always difficult to prove cause and effect, but the body of evidence is great enough to suggest prevention does make a difference, helping parents cope with crying and protecting babies from abusive head trauma. So what does ICON stand for? It's a mnemonic that is easy to remember. So let's just step through each letter. I stands for infant crying is normal and it will stop. Babies start to cry more frequently from around 2 weeks of age. The crying may get more frequent and last longer. After about 8 weeks of age, babies start to cry less each week. C stands for comfort methods can sometimes soothe the baby and the crying will stop. We ask parents and carers to think about if the baby is hungry, tired, in need of a nappy change, and we give a range of simple calming techniques such as singing to the baby or going for a walk, and we give more of that information on our website. O stands for it's okay to walk away if you have checked the baby is safe and the crying is getting to you. After a few minutes, when you're feeling calm, go back and check on the baby. N stands for never ever shake or hurt a baby. It can cause lasting brain damage or death. If you're worried that your baby is unwell, contact your GP or call NHS 111. ICON has been deliberately designed so that local areas can adapt it slightly to suit the needs of their local population. For example, providing antenatal ICON interventions, offering day nursery input and interventions via 0 to 19 teams. What is going to be described now is the core minimum ICON programme. It starts soon after delivery when the baby is discharged home from hospital or if born at home before the midwives leave the home of the family. This is the time when men are most often present, and the opportunity to engage with men at this point is crucial. The ICON leaflet is provided and explained in detail using the ICON script as a prompt if necessary. A recent survey shows that this usually takes about 5 to 6 minutes, but not normally more than 10 minutes. A community midwife will see the family at home and will provide a light touch reminder of the ICON message before baby is 10 days old. That might just be as simple as, do you remember getting that leaflet about coping with crying? ICON. Might it be worth you having another look in the next few days because 2 weeks old is when babies usually start to cry more, that sort of thing. A health visitor will make contact usually between 11 and 14 days and again will offer another light touch reminder, perhaps exploring with parents what comfort techniques they've heard about or have used with their children when they are babies. The next touch point is at 3 weeks, which is outside of core service delivery, but areas are being quite creative in finding ways to reach out to parents by phone, by text, at clinic, to once again offer a light touch reminder and maybe prompt them to consider getting a plan ready for when the crying reaches a peak. The back of the ICON leaflet provides a template for this. At 6 to 8 weeks, baby will have a review by the GP. This is the age when the crying is either at a peak or approaching it. GPs have available to them a short questionnaire that is part of the National Toolkit for GPs and which helps them structure a conversation around coping with crying, postnatal depression and domestic abuse. It's another opportunity to go through or hand out the ICON leaflet. So that is the core programme. Very simple, light touch and doesn't require much extra resource as these are the times professionals are engaging with a family with a new baby. It's simple message will help parents, and public health research suggests the staggered points of delivery by different professionals is likely to have a positive impact. It is important that parents understand crying is normal and everyone feels frustrated by a crying baby. It's really important to make every effort to engage with the dad, male carer, and also encourage parents to share the information with anyone who is going to be caring for the baby, relatives, childminders, nannies, etc. The icon leaflet and resources anticipate parents' anxieties and worries about their baby's health and encourage them to seek advice if they're worried. The C is for Comfort Methods resource provides information on when to seek emergency medical assistance. The key message is that if baby is well and all their basic needs are met, they may still be crying between these ages for what seems like no apparent reason, and if this is getting to you, your job is to recognise when you are feeling frustrated and cope rather than to try and stop the crying. There are a variety of icon resources available. Individual areas have ideas for creating their own. They're being developed all the time. It's important to highlight a wider public health campaign via social media that runs behind the touch points. Analytics show that social media is an effective method of reaching men and encouraging them to engage with the message. So it's really important as professionals promoting icon for you to go onto the different social media sites, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, and like, share, comment, repost, retweet, etc. Posters, leaflets and fridge magnets are available, and you can have your own area's logo added if you wish. Alternatively, you can have no logo at all. Resources. Finally, thank you on behalf of babies and parents for supporting parents to cope with crying and reducing the risk of abusive head trauma.